Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you in this daily Hindu analysis. In the morning these videos come, in the evening the MCQ lessons they come. Both the lessons you have to follow religiously, and it's all your choice what do you choose there. But I am putting my best there in the MCQ lessons also, and follow that lesson for the 2 months now. These lessons are coming on a daily basis, both in Hindi and English language. These are available, and today is a very special day. It's a huge thing to discuss there, the Kashmir issue, and let's take some points there. The whole issue cannot be discussed in single lecture, so we will take multiple lectures there. So we will try to understand maximum here, and let's start the thing. One more issue regarding the labor code is there. Before that, 60% off is going on till 16th of August. So that's a great opportunity. You can call on these numbers here, and all the courses are available there. Pocket News app is trending on Google Play. You can download that, and all these courses regarding that, the description is given below the video. You can call on these numbers and visit the website also. PDF you will get here on this particular group. You can send me a request, and you will also get the Telegram channels link there. You can follow me on Instagram too, and this is the Telegram channels link. Many words that I found today, you can use that. And now the issue, first we will take this article regarding the labor code. Recently, 4 labor codes were announced, and 44 labor laws, previous labor laws, they are submerged into these 4 labor codes. That's the important issue. Government is saying we are trying to do all possible betterment in the lives of workers, and it's all a historical move. And now the writer, 2 writers actually, Akriti Bhatia and Chandan Kumar, they are telling about the issue important for GS paper 2, and they are criticizing it heavily because many facts, and with the logic they are proving something else. Here writer says, were these 44 labor laws, were these not made after any discussion? Were these not important? Were these not saving the interest of these particular situations of the laborers? And 44 means 44 different situations were discussed there, and now only 4 labor codes. Now the writer says these are red codes of labor. Why red? Why there is alarm regarding these? First of all, minimum floor wage. They said that we will decide a minimum floor wage, and even in the states you cannot pay below that. Their own committee, minister's own committee, recommended 375 rupees per day. What they decided ultimately, 178 rupees, means around 5 to 5.5 thousand rupees per month. Just this much amount. Next, earlier you all know that 8 hours employment was there per day, and not more than 8 hours you can employ them. But here 178 rupees, and that cap is removed of 8 hours. That is removed, and additional working hours, or maybe these overtime, you may say, those provisions are also there. So those are bolstered actually. Next, 4 codes exclude over 95% of the workforce employed in the informal units and small enterprises. So that's again a trouble. Who actually need the support there? These are excluded here. Next, ambiguity on wording. First of all, any law, any particular provision which is there, if there are going to be problems in the future, what is the biggest symptom? Symptom is that that thing is having ambiguity, and that thing is not clear. Confusions are there, and why these are kept? So that there can be loopholes in the future, and they can misuse things in any way. Okay, just opposite meanings can be there. So that is the problem of the ambiguity and the confusion, and that is apparently here. Deliberate ambiguity is maintained in the wordings and definitions. So that's the problem. Even the clarity is not there regarding who constitutes an employer and employee. So that's a biggest problem. Next, it is proposed that apprentices, you see, apprentices are there after some kind of training. You are going to the industries or companies and all, and you are kept as an apprentice there. You are paid stipends and all, and you are working there with all your effort. You are learning things and you are working there. But sometimes after some months you become perfect, and you are working there as other employees. So you must be considered as an employee, but you are not considered as an employee. No longer considered as an employee. First, earlier you were considered, but now you will not be considered. And the problem is of the contractualization of the labor, and you working as apprentices, but you are working as any other employee works. So that means they are taking all the work from you, and they are not paying you much, and you are working as an apprentice there officially. So that's the biggest problem. Next, employees below 15 years of age. Means it's a child labor, and they are legalizing it through this code. Although there may be many other forms, the way they can justify things, but there is no apparent restriction on the child labor. It's properly there, and it's construed as legalization of the child labor, and that's the biggest problem, and that is heavily misused already, and now it will be misused. Next, code on wages legitimizes and promotes further contractualization of the labor. What is the problem of contractualization of the labor, or the contract labor, or the contract employment today? The biggest trouble: huge population, huge pressure, less opportunities. But you see, for maintenance of the quality, we have to give them permanent job there. Anybody, teachers, doctors, anybody. But what is the situation in centers and the states? Everywhere. What is the trend? Trend is that if you have to give 50,000 rupees to a permanent employee, instead of that, you keep 5 employees, you give them 10,000 rupees each, and fixed amount. No additional benefit, no social security, no PF contribution, no pension, nothing else. Contract labor you keep them for 6 months or 1 year, and then renewals can be there for next 6 months or next 1 year. So that is the way. This way, these 5 people who are having nothing today, they are under a kind of a burden of something done as a favor by the government. They will always think that government has given us this much opportunity, and we were having nothing, and now this much labor at least we have. So they are under that pressure, and government is all happy because they do not have to pay 2.5 lakh rupees now, and they are employing 5 people, and they are giving them just 10,000 rupees, and the equal amount of work they are taking there, and sometimes they are working more than the permanent employees. You can see the condition of contract teachers, and that is the most pathetic of all. Means it is total exploitation. You are employing them for full hours, and sometimes they are working more than the permanent employees, and you are paying them nothing, and it's all the situation. It's a very troublesome situation, and here there is no sincerity for the work, and people will always keep thinking, most of them, that it's not a permanent employment, and why to give all the input, why to give all the heart in your work, and quality will never be maintained. So that is the case. It is apparently evident in the education sector, but whatever they are doing, that is all out of pressure. Means everywhere they will live in fear that anytime I may lose my job, and even in some areas people are paying bribes for getting the contractual labor. This is the condition of the employment. You just imagine the scenario and compare the situation with the politicians. It's a drastic thing. So this contractualization must end, and especially in the these laborers and in these companies and in these kind of businesses. But they are promoting this contractualization of the labor and legitimizing it further. That's the problem, instead of abolishing it. So that is the issue. And you see, they are insulating the principal employer there. Whatever problems or the irregularities can be there by the side of this contractor, then it will be the problem of the contractor, not the principal employer. Means there can be nexuses between the principal employer and the contractor. So ultimately the laborers, they will have to bear the burden there. So that is the biggest problem. Means it's all a tyrannical move in a way. You must have seen in the 70s and 80s movies the way they were crushing the employers and these employees, and these strikes were there, and they were not allowing any kind of union and all, and corruption was there. Contractors were there, and they were all inflicting pains on the poor laborers. So this is that kind of a situation. If all these things are true, but they are publishing it in the newspaper, that means it's all true. It's all happening, and this is unbelievable. Next, recoverable advances. It's a draconian provision. Recoverable advances means they may pay advance payments, which they always want. The laborers are poor people, they always want these kind of things, and then they will put a lot of conditions. We all know that in private companies and all, what kind of conditions they may put there. So this way they will pay them advance payments, and they will keep them as bonded laborers. So this way it's an indirect move for bonded labor. That's apparent. Next, 8-hour workday shift is removed, and the multiple provisions of increased overtime has been inserted, and ample alibis to employers to evade the bonus payments, means sometimes they will bring those kind of conditions that they will not even pay bonus payments, because in private companies they can put a lot of conditions. So that's why the writer says that it is more an employer code instead of being a labor code. That's the problem. Next, non-payment of wages will not be a criminal offense. The most harsh thing here, non-payment of wages will not be a criminal offense, means if the employer is not paying the wages on time, it will not be a criminal offense, and the penalties in the case of non-compliance have been reduced. Penalties for the employer is reduced, and there used to be inspectors who were maintaining these enforcement of the laws. Now there will be only facilitators come inspectors, means they will only be facilitators come inspectors, and they will facilitate the jobs, and there will be not any strict implementation of these laws, because laws are not there, these are only codes. So that means it's all the advantage for the employer there. That's the issue, and it's all going to be a drastic situation for the laborers, and that's why they are protesting very heavily, but the media is not showing this to the normal public. That is the case. Code on Industrial Relation 2 is replete with restrictions on forming the registering unions, means first thing, when any kind of torture is there for the laborers, then they go for strikes and unions. Unions is the ultimate help. Here the registration of the unions will be restricted, and the control will be there, means they need to get prior permissions and notices they need to give, and unions will not be formed very easily, and the strikes will not be very easy for the laborers, means it's all going in one direction against the laborers. That is the case, and that's why the writer says it's about employers code, not about any laborers code or the labor law. That's the biggest problem. It's all a negative article, but it is showing the it's a kind of a revelation there, and showing all the realities, because if these things are true, as writers are putting it, these things are true, then it's a draconian move. It's never going to help the laborers. It is actually bringing a lot of torture to their lives. Next, the biggest issue of all today, Article 370, 35A. Let's see the history there. India-Pakistan formed in 1947. Princely states had this option that they may remain free, they may go with Pakistan, they may go with India. Raja Hari Singh decided to go free. They wanted to remain free, and Kashmiris were all with him, because they all wanted their own territory, their own country. So that was all, but they were not that much powerful. So Pakistan attacked them. Pakistan saw the condition that Hindus are a minority, Muslims are a majority there, so they may be on our side, and that's why the Pakhtun tribals and all, they attacked Kashmiris and Kashmir's state. And then the Raja cried for help, and he came to Mr. Nehru, and Nehru said that on what condition we can help you, because you are not our part. How we can help you? You are a foreign state now. So then this special arrangement were done, and this Article 370 was formed by Mr. Iyengar. Mr. Ambedkar was not in the favor, and Mr. Iyengar drafted it. So this was the 370, means it was decided by Nehru and Mr. Raja Hari Singh that this is going to be a special provision, this is going to be a special arrangement, and because there will be cordial relations, so we all will comply with that. So that was accepted. They said that defense, communication and the international relation, those we will comply with the Indian state, Indian constitution provisions will be applicable on us, but other things we will decide that we will take them or not. This is all our decision of our legislative assembly's decision. So it was all accepted to Indian state. But you see, if first of all, this is the basis. So if we will not have accepted this thing, means Kashmir would not have been our part, that's for sure. Maybe we would have used force there, like we used on Hyderabad. We may have used force there, then Kashmir would have become our part. But we did not go for the force, as we never go for the forces. Only one exception was the Hyderabad state there. Now we did not use that, and we accepted this arrangement, means we both had to respect these things. But the problem was that Pakistan and China both are creating problems there. It's a most sensitive area, and the icon of the secularism in India, means in a Hindu majority state, Hindu majority country, It's a Muslim majority state. So that was the unique thing. So that's why it was only possible that they will continue if the cooperation will be there, if the respect will be there for both the sides. Here, what happened here? There are drastically negative points here to discuss, and there are greatest of positive points are also there. We will talk about both. Greatest, why? Because now the territory will be there in the center's hand, where separatist leaders were a major problem, mediators were a major problem. Our connect with the local population was not that much great. These people could influence those people anytime, and they were wielding the authority, they were wielding the power there because it was a state, and it was the most powerful state of all. If you talk about India, then it was much more powerful than other states of India. It was having its own constitution, it was having its own penal code, and they were having autonomy there. They were having their own flag, own citizenship there. So that was the greatest thing for a state. Now we have removed everything there, and we have used Article 370 there to abrogate the Article 370, and that was the most bizarre thing. Means we are using 370 to end 370. This is not possible. You cannot end any provision by taking the reference from its own provision. This is not possible, but this is done. And how it is done, that is the biggest problem. Means when they decided this arrangement, then there was a Constituent Assembly of the Constitution of the Jammu and Kashmir, and it got dissolved in 1957 without ending this Article 370. Means it became a permanent provision. And recently in April 18, Supreme Court decided that it will remain a permanent feature because it is undecided. So it's a permanent provision. So whatever history established that, this will continue, and that was the biggest problem. Why we needed to change all this status quo? Because these separatist leaders were creating problems, and we were having security issues here. But the issue remains here that Muslim majority is the biggest reason there. And that was the big reason, because religion was the biggest influencer there, and these leaders were using that. Pakistan was using that, and people became all against the Indian state, and that was unfortunate. We had to use forces. Now see, we used Article 370, and that was the legal challenge, and it may be a legal challenge in the future. According to 370, whatever they will accept from the Indian side, it will be decided by the Legislative Assembly of the state. So what is Legislative Assembly? It is all a federal feature. What is the federal feature? We have union list, state list, concurrent list in Schedule 7. State list means there will be some provisions, and there are many provisions where state will have autonomy. State can form its own legislation there, and union cannot do much about those things, instead of some emergency provisions and all. So it's only during the time of president's rule the center will be powerful there. So what they did, there was an arrangement. BJP government went with PDP, whom they are abusing now today. All kinds of memes are against Mehbooba Mufti and the BJP leader. So that's a different situation. But that time they went hand in hand. Then they ended this assembly and they dissolved it. Then they brought governor's law. Governor's rule was there. Governor's rule was there, and that means it is all the authority of the center through governor. So prime minister's decisions were there through governor. So that was the arrangement. Then they brought this, and that was all under Article 92, and then they brought 356 and the president's rule. According to president's rule, it's all president's administration there through governor. So now what they did, they actually needed the recommendation of the state, and that was to be given by Legislative Assembly. But Assembly is not there. Who is there? Governor is there. Now Governor recommended to the President that you can abrogate the 370 article and you can use the provisions there. So this was the announcement by Home Minister there in the Parliament. So in the end, what just happened? In the end, what just happened, that Governor was all powerful, and through governor, it means indirectly it's the central government that was all powerful there, and they recommended and it was done. What was the earlier arrangement and what was accepted actually in the starting? Means Legislative Assembly of the Jammu and Kashmir, which is all powerful, that will decide, that will recommend, because there are representatives of the Kashmiri people. Okay, so these are the representatives. It is all the federation system. Okay, that is the federal feature in our constitution, and it was maintained in the Kashmir Assembly also, representative of the people, and they were forming this assembly. Elected people are there. Governor is not the elected person. So how can unelected person from a state can talk on the behalf of a state? And this much huge issue where you are dissolving the state, you are creating a union territory out of a state. Till now, only union territories became state. Never a state became union territory. Means you cannot strip off the power of a state and turn into a union territory there. Although there are different provisions there with Jammu and Kashmir, and all the positive points we will talk further. But here we are talking about the constitutional and the legal challenges there. So we have never turned a state into union territory. Here we have done that. Means we have dissolved the state. Now there are only 28 states in India and 9 union territories. Regarding Ladakh, there is a separate issue because demography, geography, all is unique there for Ladakh. So it's not a huge problem for Ladakh to become a union territory there, and they are all hailing the boo. But about the Jammu and Kashmir's issue, the Jammu and Kashmir state, they are turning a state into a union territory. Means they are ending all the state lists, all the issues according to Indian constitution also. And who recommended that? The governor, who is unelected. Means will it be justified by the people of the Kashmir? No. Do they have any say here? No, because assembly is not there. Their elected representatives are there. Now you may say that representatives, they have looted Kashmir and all, but overall they are elected people. They are elected leaders. And what about rest of the country? There are also elected leaders. There are netas in rest of the country, and they are also looting many times. We all know what kind of netas are there in India. So you can allege it to the Kashmir leaders. So in the same way, they will say that what about your country's leaders? They are also corrupt. They will say like that. But there is a security situation in Kashmir that is above all. That is the thing. So elected people are not suggesting to dissolve the state. Governor is saying that. Unelected person is saying that. So through governor, central government is suggesting that. Now talk about the issue. Issue is that regarding 35A, Raja Hari Singh said that all people want to settle down in Kashmir. It's a very beautiful place. All Britishers want to settle down here, and all other Indians want to settle down here. So it will be a change of the demography. What we are doing in Assam, we are saying that it's all change of the demography, that we cannot accept the outsider here. Here Kashmiris say that this was the special arrangement and we cannot allow outsiders here. So we want a issue of permanent residence here. And that's why it was accepted by Nehru that permanent residence will be there. So they brought out this order in 1954. And they gave this issue under Article 370 that permanent residence issue will be there. And girls in state, they had this provision that they will have the share of the property from her parents. Now if she marries some outsider who is not a permanent resident there, then she will lose her authority over the property there. So now the central government says that we are giving this power to the daughters of the Kashmir also. They will have their property with them, and if they marry any outsider, then this property will be there. It is actually very much contrary to the NDA government's normal ethos, because whatever they did in triple talaq, they are talking in the same way here. But what about their issues of their cultural values? Means if Muslim is marrying a Hindu girl, then they say that it's a jihad or something like that. So here they are talking about giving a right to a Kashmiri girl who, if marries an outsider, then she will have this property, and property is there in Jammu and Kashmir. She cannot take this property with her. So it will be a property for an outsider also, according to Kashmiris, because they consider that person outsider. But now it will not be an outsider there. So these two issues, pay attention here. These two issues, first of exclusivity, Means in Article 370 the exclusivity was maintained. Hari Singh said we want to remain exclusive here. So this arrangement we are doing here. So we both have cordial relation now, India and Kashmir. So we will go with this arrangement. We will be a specific part of India, but not that part like any other state. It is a special state. So exclusivity was demanded by Hari Singh. Second, exclusivity of the permanent residents, that was also demanded by Raja Hari Singh. So both these things of Raja Hari Singh is not there with the new arrangement, and Hari Singh's demands, two important demands, are not there with the new arrangement of the Modi government, and the say of the people is not there, because people are there in their houses. The 144 provision is going on there, force is there. So by force you have put people inside their homes and you have dissolved their state and you are turning into a union territory there. This is the legal challenge, this is the constitutional challenge here, because we have never done that in the past, that we have used force against our own people, and we have done that, but we are doing that. Our own people, why? Because Indian state always considered Kashmir as an integral part. So that means these are own people. So on their own people, they are using force. They have put them in their homes, in their house arrest, and Article 44, sorry, the Section 44 is going on of IPC, and now without their say, they are turning their state into union territory. So this is all by force. Now that's the legal challenge. Now we talk about the positivities here. What are the positivities? First, a Gupkar model, which was working there for the last 70 years. Means it's a road there, which is Gupkar road, which is having the non-working offices of those UN military observation groups, and this road is going till the lake where all these royal houses of the former royalties are there. And whatever we decided, that was all centered on this Gupkar model. Means we were talking with leaders, we were talking with bureaucrats, and they became corrupt, and it was all a despicable form of corruption that prevailed. The center was not connected with the local people of the Kashmir, and these leaders we were talking always, and they were the major influencer there. Pakistan's influence was visible there, and we could not do much with the grassroots situation there. Now, when we brought this president's rule in 2018, then we have made this grassroots reach possible. The panchayati elections were possible, which were not supported by the legislative assembly before. So we are talking about the positivities now. So grassroots reach is possible. Elections were there, and the locals were elected there in the panchayati elections, and state administrative councils acted there, and these important schemes like Narega, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, Mid-Day Meal Scheme, Integrated Child Development Services, Social Forestry, these all were devolved to the panchayats. Okay, so this power was given to panchayati system. Next, they were given the power of monitoring the supervision of schools, health institutions, and panchayat raj institutions. So these are robust grassroots institutions now. So that is under the center's approach now. That's the greatest thing. Means first time we are connected with the grassroots people, ground level. So that's the greatest thing. Now we do not need mediators there. We do not need these separatist leaders there. Second, graft crackdown. The biggest problem was of the corruption. Means these leaders were corrupt. As we all know, politicians are most of the time corrupt. It is not only for the Kashmir, it is for whole India. We all know about that. But Kashmir leaders were corrupt, and they were talking with the voices of Pakistan. So the biggest problem, biggest frustration in the youth there, that elite class is corrupt. They are all happy. Their kids are studying there in London, in other foreign countries and all. And these local people, they are not supported much. They do not have jobs, and they are all radicalized. They are exploited. So that's the de facto situation there. And very less rich people were taking arms, and majorly the poor locals, they were involved in some militancy also. So this was the biggest problem. Now we are able to crack down on these people, and now if the corruption will not be there, as hopefully it will not be there in the future, so They can bring major schemes there, they can give employment to these people, but this is all a positive thing. And the biggest thing is the security situation. Means we are connected with the local people, then the security situation will certainly improve. But the biggest but is here. Locals say is not there. Till now, these are people behind their homes. What is their opinion? That is not out. Whole India is dancing, and it is a dancing that is not justified till now, because the locals, the average Kashmiri, they have not given their opinion. So it is all a foolish exercise to dance before getting their opinion. That is the issue. We have lost many soldiers on the Kashmir issue, but on what basis? On a basis that we maintain the situation, we bring people to us, we bring Kashmiri people to us, but that was not possible. The alienation of the people, that was the biggest issue, and now the alienation extends further, and now the alienation is far bigger now, because we have not even taken their consent to turn this state into a union territory. How they are going to respond? How can we know about that? If tomorrow, if they protest very heavily against that, that means it's all a use of brutal force. We have compelled people, means we have used force. So we cannot call it a bravery of Modi government. It's all a use of brute force. It can become a tyrannical decision because we had forces with us. So we use forces there. We put 144, we put people behind, and without their consent, we turn this state into a union territory. That's the biggest challenge. So this may turn into a worse situation, because if they think today center is forcing us, if they take this whole exercise in a negative way, then they will be more alienated. And this all patharbazis and all these things will escalate further. Average Kashmiri will be against Indian state way more than ever before. Already the geopolitical situation is against the Kashmir situation, because the Afghanistan issue is going on. All these Taliban and all these groups are much more bolstered now. Their confidence is at all-time high. So they will influence the Kashmir situation. They will use more and more militancy, more and more infiltration there. So we will have to use more and more force there in Kashmir. And today, listen to this, if they take this decision negatively, the average people, then more and more local participation we will see in the militancy. Means to control that, we will have to use more force, the way we are using for 4-5 years now. Means more force will be used, more instances of local militancy, more instances of patharbaji, more locals will be killed, and they will turn more against Indian state. Additionally, they will say that you have turned our state into a union territory and you are using force against that, because they will comply. They will not comply. They will take all these things negatively. That is a bigger possibility here, and that's why it can all become a tyrannical decision. Then they will say that in 2012-13 it was all a normal situation, not much militancy was there, and today you tried for a betterment but you made things worse. So that's why many scholars are saying it's a misadventurism. Without the consent of the local people, you are doing this thing. That's the biggest difficulty here. It may turn situation into a worse situation, and then it will become a bigger humanitarian crisis, and it will be a certain crisis, because if people take this thing further alienating move, then certainly they will turn against Indian state, and we will have to use more and more force, and then it will be out of our hand situation. It will be a major crisis. So the biggest need today, that we need to make people understand that it is the better move for you people. Okay, till today we have not we are not able to do that. Instead of this president's rule or anything, we are not able to do that, and whole Kashmiri population is against Indian state, and without their consent we have done this drastic move. So they may turn very much against Indian state. So that is the biggest trouble, and many legal challenges are also there. So what is going to happen? These are the biggest positive points. We can crack down on corruption. We do not need mediators now, and the grassroots reach is there for the first time. So that's the greatest thing, and we have ended this Gupkar model, and now things are hand in the center. And the biggest positivity is the security situation. The territory will be there in center's approach, so they can check each and every street in Kashmir, and they can check on the local radicalization. So that is going to be a greatest thing, and they can bring a lot of opportunities directly to the local population there. So that can be a greatest thing for Kashmiris. So both things are greatest. Means greatest positivities are there, but greatest troubles can be there for Indian state. If this is going to be a humanitarian crisis, then it will be a greatest shading of the image for Indian state. So this is all for today. We will discuss further things. One more article is there that is talking on the very negative lines regarding this move. They are saying that Indian people are dancing, but it's a tyrannical decision. So we will discuss that issue tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Keep watching. It was Amit Sani.